Can I, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, you can take it away. Thank you.
Working, huh? Okay.
Yep.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So we make kakitangan.com. So it's actually a HR software. So as you can see, kaki and tangan, so hands and leg, we normally call it like our people. And the next thing is, of course, to us, what we are really proud of is we actually have a kita inside the kaki tangan, right? So it's you and me. We all do it together. So let me see. So normally I prepared a slide on open sessions that we can have a quick question and answer. But the idea is normally where we actually store our data, say for payroll data, in local devices, right? So in the laptop, in a server, if it's more high-end payroll softwares, and sometimes we pass it to payroll outsourcer and then email sending here and there. So if the answer is actually one or two, that's quite dangerous. We have been having multiple times that we hear from our prospective customers. They come to us and talk to us like, hey, I wanted to go with cloud, and when we ask the reason, is very much one of the reasons here. So they lost the laptop, the laptop is crashed, server crash, ransomware, someone clicking in some emails that is not supposed to click, staff sabotage happen once in a while. So this actually causes you to lose your payroll data. All right. So here's the interesting part. We have been, the more we actually discuss with people, then we realize payroll data is something that is really critical. Assuming if you lost your accounting data, all right, you can try to work it out in the next couple of weeks or even months to recover it before the auditor kicks in, right? If you lost the payroll data, good luck to you in your operation, right? This month, your payroll needs to go out. You need to pay your EPF, you need to pay your SOXO, and so on. And finally, after you sort everything out, then the next year when you sort out the EA form, you have a problem again. And then auditor comes in, you have a problem again. Then we realize it's actually one of the biggest risks of the business continuity of the SME. So of course, besides payroll, the accounting data, your customer information, you really want to get it protected. And that's quite counterintuitive to our previous belief, because when we started at 2015, there's a lot of people still talking about, hey, actually the data is more secure in my own machine, right? And more cases happen, then a lot of people start realizing actually putting in the cloud it is more secure, because normally what happened is as a cloud vendor, we have a centralized security protection. Like for kaki tangan data, it's all stored at the world #1 data center. For the data center is the world #1 for last 10 years. We ourselves don't even touch it, right? So, and we actually have a centralized protection of the server on the security patches and so on. And then we actually conducted backups all the time in order to protect it at any time. If the server crash, at least we can get the data back. So that kind of mechanism, unfortunately, in smaller companies like us, very few of us can actually employ a full-time admin. So that's the reason that one of the initiative, I think the government is forking out 500 million for SME Digitalization Grant, is really trying to tell everyone, hey, this is an opportunity. Try to kick off and reduce the risk of your operation. Of course, on another team is the productivity. So there are other the presenter actually speaking about it yesterday, so I will not go into detail. Feel free to ask questions if you need to. In a quick glance, it's a 1 ringgit to 1 ringgit matching grant up to 5,000 ringgit per company this year. So there's much bigger list of selected vendor today that you can choose a couple of software, bundle together, and then apply for the grant. So it's limited to 100,000 SME, which is actually a mass coverage to you. So if you are interested, feel free to go to Bank Simpanan Nasional and SME Bank to apply. All right. Okay. One of the most important thing when we talk about the HR inside the company, just now, of course, we were talking about data protection. But if you think about it, in the typical SME, what is the most important thing of HR work in the company? So every roadshow when we actually run throughout the country, we have been hearing a lot of cases that they say like 80% of people will say, look, payroll is my most important work. I always laugh that although I'm selling a payroll software, you don't need to make me happy to tell me the payroll is important. The reality is we don't believe payroll is actually the most important thing. What happened is, if you think about it, you should sunken in more resources, okay, into the important operation. If I triple the headcount of a payroll officer inside the company, so initially I have 1 payroll officer. If I hire another 3 payroll officer to come in and do payroll in the company, all right, does that help my company? The straight answer is actually not really, right? It doesn't grow my sales. It doesn't actually make my staff people more engaged in the company, and it doesn't improve the performance. So if you think about it, then payroll is something that you should actually get a cloud software to automate it. And you think about it, what is the most important HR work that you should spend more time? Typically for SME, the business owner is the biggest HR head in the company. So there's actually 2 things. First, after you have hired the great people to join your company, how do we ensure every one of them is 120% hard inside the company? All right. So normally when we actually talk about this in the workshops, events, I will start seeing smiley face from the HR people, from the business owners. How do we ensure everyone is 120% hard inside the company? This is extremely difficult, right? And it should take a whole lot of time. So before the COVID-19 and work from home happens, let's assume in the normal operation, what is the main reason your best and top talents actually leaving your company? All right. If you think about it, the best person, the first thing they normally will actually complain that, is there any future for them in this company? Okay, that's the first typical question they will ask themselves. So it comes in the 2 parts. First is whether this company is growing a lot or not. If the company is growing another 2 times, 3 times every single year, obviously there's more and more scope, more and more people hired into the company, and they can actually grow inside the company as per the journey. But most of the SME, we don't grow at that speed. So if we don't grow at that speed, the next question is, are they able to actually grow their scope inside this company? So they will actually care a lot on how they can actually move out their job scope, their strength inside the company. So that's the first thing that normally people looking at. Assuming, look, the company is not growing, and you cannot grow inside the company, all right? You'll be stagnant and stick there, all right? So then the next question is, do I actually improve myself as a person? So my market value is higher. You know, along the way, a few years down the road, am I a more valuable person or not, right? So can I grow my skills? So we talk about the development of themselves. Assuming if you cannot grow the company, you cannot grow the person's career, and you can't even grow their skill set, then the next reason for them to stay is normally they really like this place. All right, they have a few buddies, they go out and makan all together all the time. They love working here. There's not much politics. They don't like argue here and there. Something that they feel comfortable working here. Right, that's the third reason they are staying. Right, so if everything else fail, right, if you're assuming there's no growth in the company, there's no growth in the career, there's the place is not comfortable, I hated this place, why are they still staying? It's because of the money, right? So if that's the money is there, so that's the sole reason I'm staying. Of course, someone else pay me more money, then I may be leaving, right? And finally, if everything fail, you're probably looking for a replacement. Okay, if you look at it, this is the 5 typical HR component when the HR actually study throughout the coursework. You're talking about performance, you're talking about personal development, you're talking about com and ben, you're talking about work environment, and the last one is actually hiring. But a lot of cases in SME, when we look at it, oh, we lost 1 people. All right, what's the first thing we are talking about? Let's go for hiring, right? And we have problem on hiring, we need to adjust the salary. So you see, it's always from the bottoms up and not from the top to bottom. So a lot of cases, we actually advocate for a lot of our customers to actually go for the top first and fix the fundamental. If the fundamental is improved, and that actually improve your organization. Okay, so a lot of things. That's the first part. The second part that's an important work is actually how do we maximize the performance of the company, right? Especially during this period. If you think about it, what happened in the 6 month, 3 months, 12 months period, very likely the entire performance review cycle is shortened. If you used to have a yearly performance, you probably reduce to 6 months. If you used to have a 6 month, you probably reduce to monthly, right? And keep a patient, have a shortened review cycle throughout the survival period, try to change as fast as possible and fix things that's actually working, all right? Pivot, tweak, and refine. At this moment, try to move fast, cut costs, find money to sustain the operation. But remember, cost cutting is for things to work out. If the cost cutting and things doesn't work out, it doesn't mean anything. Remember to keep your best folks with you. All right. For the folks that not contribute enough of a value inside the organization, then this is the right time for any business owner plus the HR people, HR head working with business owner to start thinking about the organizational change, restructuring. It could be moving people from doing this A to B. Okay, so think about it. This is the best time, MCO, that get yourself locked in a room, think. So normally when we talk to a lot of SME, are you doing enough of people engagement as well as performance? Normally the answer is no. And we ask why. And typically that's the reason, right? So this is actually a picture from the customers that we have. Paper and paper and paper. That's why like 80% of them, they are talking about payroll and 20% of them are talking about paper form, leave form, claims form. That's where Kaki Tangan started 5 years ago. We actually, the first year we do nothing but the leave system. So a lot of people still think that Kaki Tangan leave system is probably one of the best in Malaysia. That you can actually apply a leave and manager receive an email saying this person from when to when they are having a vacation, and then what's the reason, how many balance, and during this period, who else going off of leave. So then you can approve or reject. Of course, after that, one of the most required feature is actually payroll. So we start building payroll, EA form, E-form since 2016 until now, about 4 years old. Today, there is tons of, I think the part of the right hand side is hidden. We are supporting like more than 15 banks in Malaysia. And we can conduct all the salary, EPF, social income tax, EIS on the websites, payment, and then there's more and more things at the backs. So today we actually 2 months ago we crossed our mark of 2 billion payroll. This year we are probably hitting 3 billion. Every month we are talking about, every day we are talking about 5,000 people applying leave, and so on. So after that, we actually create claims. So whereby people scan the receipt, put in the claim data, and move on. If you think about it, actually, the biggest time saving, I think, is not for the staff. Although normally, where people love the fact that they can actually scan the receipt on the phone, the biggest value of this thing is actually from the finance and admin side, that they actually have a list of data they can export to Excel, and they have a list of data they can actually generate a bank pay file. So for our case, like Maybank to you Buck, so we don't pay the expense claim together with payroll, we pay separately. So we ourselves use the feature as well that actually output the claims on the Buck payment. So of course, there's more and more HR people telling us that, look, after I interview people, I have this batch of documents. Normally, last time in the paper, you know, the IC photocopy, the sigil of SPM and so on, they put it in file cabinet. 1 year down the road, guarantee cannot see it anymore. So a lot of people asking us like, can we actually do something out of it? So now they can actually upload the soft copy of these employee documents to the person's profile. And actually, we start seeing some very smart users starting to use it as a performance platform. Because what happened is they usually have an Excel file on the KPI and performance, and is adjusting all the time. So they cannot use any software on that, right? So Excel file is the most flexible one. So what happened is they actually upload the Excel file to the employee profile, and then from the staff to manager as well as to the HR, they all see the same version of Excel. So that's kind of like start merging into a centralized performance storage of a person. Of course, there are other partners that working with us on giving out free HR templates. Last time people used to sell it. We said, it's a template document. Can we actually make available for download? So some of them actually release the copyright and leave it out. So a lot of customers can actually download from the platform. We also start the MCO time. We also start the conducting workshops. So there's one workshop happening from 1st to March, April. What happened is lots of people start to have question about payroll disruption on the MCO time. So we have some ex-HR managers actually talking about how to deal with certain things from 1st to March in a different time slot. Feel free to register. Another one that we are conducting is 15th of April. But, for some people that still having problem on EA form and E form. So if you haven't done it yet, you have some issues, we are having a separate workshop helping you. Okay. So as far as today, we have somewhere around 5,000 companies running on Kaki Tangan actively. about 50,000 pay slips we are generating every single month. Quick one before I wrap up. So first thing, we actually took about 1 month, these few weeks to figure out whether should we do that or not, because it's affecting our own cash flow as well. But at the moment, we are applying COVID loan ourselves. We apply through a few banks. We just got rejected from one bank. But finger crossed, we are trying to get a loan to sustain the operation. At the same time, with the loan support, we are going to give the SMEs for 3 months to use the system during this difficult period. So feel free to speak to our salespeople on it. At the same time, strong suggestion, please talk to your banker or any other banks to get a COVID loan. 3.5%, when we look at it, put in this way, is cheaper than the housing loan, right? Another thing is now is a good time. You're sitting at home, shopping for the system, onboarding the system. Is the best time that you figure out how to get the best out from SME Digitalization Grant. Okay, try to grab it as you can. At the same time, if you haven't done your e-form, try to sort it out. And finally, how do you move on? 3 months, 6 months, 12 months down the road, it's a good time that you have more thinking about your organization structure this year. Okay, I think I'm finishing my slides here. Let me see, what should I do here?
A quick one for the audience. If you have any questions for Effon from kakitangan.com, do ask away under the Q&A session. And I think that's already 2 questions. I think Effon, when you're ready to answer question, we can take the questions.
How do I open the FAQ here?
That's Q&A button at the bottom there. If you can't, I can read out the questions for you.
Seems like it's not showing here when I'm sharing the screen.
No, okay, then it's fine. The first question is, how do you define world #1 data center?
Currently, we are hosting at Amazon AWS. So last 9 years to 10 years, they are #1 defined in the Gartner chart. So Gartner is one of the biggest market researcher. They are famous of the Magic Quadrant. That they actually have the quadrant thing, and then they put the world vendors into it. They have been topping the list for the last 8-9 years.
Okay. And the second question is, how is kakitangan.com is different from hr.my?
hr.my is currently offering a free service, to my understanding. It was a hobby project until the owner come back from China and start working on it full time. To us, we actually put in this way, we are not a free service in a typical time. So we do earn a revenue to sustain operation. We currently have about 20 plus people. We are hitting cash flow positive last year. After 5 years of a couple of million investment into it, that's like more than 70 investors, inclusive of BFMs and a couple of business owners from CEO networks. It's a very interesting situation. We are always laughing that this is not something that actually you can get a very fast profit business, and you need to spend a lot of things to get it right. So at this moment, what we can label ourselves is we are probably the only local HR cloud that is on the cloud software itself hitting into the cash flow positive. So we are sustaining ourselves. That hopefully in 3 years down the road, we don't cause you any problem. If we are dead, the company running on here will be in trouble. So we have not gotten ourselves any VC investment yet. until today, we are not in a super high burn rate spending, which may still cause problems eventually if we lost too much money every single month and cannot actually get back.
Okay. There's also a similar question regards to how kakitangan.com is different from payrollpanda.com.
So Payroll Panda, so you can, I would suggest you play with it. We actually, the two vendors is actually started from about the same time. Payroll Panda started 2015, and then Ashwin Krasi was from UK and Middle East to start that in Malaysia. There are customers using Payroll Panda. There are customers using Kaki Tangan. I normally suggest try it out for both. On our side, Kaki Tangan is local Malaysia owned compared to Payroll Panda. That's the first thing. The second thing is that's a lot of features differences, whereby how do we design the user interface, how do we offer more features, mobile apps and so on, which we think Kaki Tangan is doing slightly better on the leave claims mobile apps on this site.
Okay.
And even on the payroll features.
Yeah. That's two questions, but two similar questions. So, because first question is asking for your charges. Second question is a range of how much do you cost for SMEs specifically? So,
in Malaysia, when we started it, the dream is really to help Malaysia company to be bigger. Like if a lot of people look at it, 50% of SME will not survive in 3 years' time, right? So we were saying like, why would a micro SME actually spend a few days in a month to do the HR work and try to sort out the difficult part on the payroll and everything. So from early stage until today, we are still giving the 3 people and below company free usage of HR on the Kaki Tangan side. So 3 people and below is free. 5 people size company, what we are doing is 500 ringgit a year, not a month. So we are talking about 40 plus a month for 5 people size. That the system helps you to conduct all the EA form, E form. Actually, for 30 people size and below, most of our customer telling us they actually get someone to generate the EA form for the E form for them is already that amount of money. So that's where it comes from.
Okay. Audience, if there is any more questions, do let us know in the Q&A session. And maybe, Effon, would you like to do any wrap up so that we can wrap up your session for today?
The quick one. So first of all, frankly speaking, normally when we look at it, lots of people have been asking price. Actually, the payroll software price in Malaysia is really cheap. I think in the Southeast Asia, except Indonesia, is cheaper than us. Other than that, we are probably one of the cheapest in Malaysia. And when we look at the ratio of the software price comparing to the whole general expenses, it doesn't make sense that you still do it manually. I mean, it doesn't worth the time spent, because when a lot of time when we look at the software price and then we were thinking about hey, I actually don't need to spend it, I can do it manually myself, right? The question is, when you do it manually, the time spent, and when you hit into a problem, the penalty cost is way more than that. So normally we actually suggest people to actually just go ahead with cloud HR, cloud payroll, regardless which vendor it is, and move on with it. Spend more of your time to the what's that called, the employee engagement. How do you ensure everyone is really the heart inside the company, as well as the performance? So hopefully more and more SME will become stronger in Malaysia.
Okay. Thank you so much, Effon. Is there anything else that you'd like to add on? Then I think we can wrap up your session.
Nope, that's about it. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Effon, and thank you.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.